Welcome to the April 23rd meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville, which means, I guess, we're 10 days from Derby Day. Wow. Beautiful day. Tracy Holiday's birthday. I know Tracy's supposed to be here. All right, Tracy.
Can't hear you.
There you go. Finally turned 40, Tracy. Good for you. Providing our invocation today is Dee Tran, the CEO of Louisville Institute Technology, LLC, the Vice Chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and a Paul Harris Fellow.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's pray. May the God above fill us with love. Give us grace in this place. Give us light to do what is right, and hearts that serve before ourselves. Thank you for this day, for work, for friends, for the chance you give. In my simple understanding, business is the trading of value, so help us build value, live value, and share value in ways that lift one another. Bless this city of Louisville and this Commonwealth of Kentucky. Help us live as one community with one heart for service and one shared hope to lift one another. Help us be kind in word, steady in deed, humble in success, and generous in need. When fears comes near, help us move through. When duty calls, help us stay true. Let what we build bring hopes to others, and let what we do make life better for one another. So bless this room, bless this meal, bless the hands that serve and the hearts that care. And may we leave today with more faith, more peace, and more purpose than we brought in. Amen.
Amen, for sure. Thank you, Dee. You always uplift us. Appreciate you. Now, to lead our pledge and four-way test, Johnny Atkins, General Manager of the RCF.
Afternoon. Please stand with me and join the pledge of the flag of our country. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In 1932, Rotarian and businessman Herbert J. Taylor developed a 24-word code of ethics that saved his business from bankruptcy during the Great Depression. It was later adopted by Rotary International in 1943. Please repeat after me our four-way test. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Rotarians, if you have a guest, please come to the mic. And guests, when you're announced, please stand.
Good afternoon, President Ken and fellow Rotarians. I am pleased to introduce Julie Wunderland. She is President and CEO of the Wunderland Company, a company that does consulting and organizational change and facilitation.
President Ken, it's my honor to introduce Keandre Sistron, who's president of Diversified Facility Solutions. He's also on the Planning Commission, right?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to bring with me today Mr. Jim Morris. Jim is our head of private banking in Louisville for Central Bank and Trust. Thank you.
Hi, President Ken. Ashley Brower with Max Strategic Communications. I have two guests today. First, we have Bea Juris. She's the founder of a clinical commercialization business for innovative healthcare startups called Apiculture. And Joan Hale, founder of Necessary Comforts, a post-surgery recovery garment.
Hello, President Ken. My name is Pawl Bolton, Director of Business Development and Leadership at Louisville Center. I have with me today Maria Delabella. Maria is the Leadership Program Recruitment Manager here at the center, and plugging more people into the community and to the center. So welcome, Maria Delabella, to the
President Ken, Nick Garner with the MITRE Corporation. I am introducing two guests today. First, a guest of Melissa Cobb, who could not join us. Jenny Johnston is the Executive Vice President of Collier's Commercial Real Estate. Welcome her. And then my guest today is Kendra Isham, a software developer with Waystar, who in her spare time is helping to establish a rapport around and common understanding around data centers here in Louisville.
Josh Suter, the Indiana University Southeast. My guest today is my boss, Joe Glover, Vice Chancellor of University Relations. He's also a member of the New Albany Rotary Club and past president of that club.
President Ken, fellow Rotarians, and distinguished guests, I have three guests with me today. First, if you'll stand, Steve Miller. Steve Miller is a longtime friend, Executive Director of the Louisville Riverport Authority, the doorway to the international community. Welcome, Steve. My second guest is Becky Bean Blossom. Becky and I have known each other for many years. We have served and continue to serve on the University of Louisville College of Business Executive Women's Advisory Board together. Becky is the person who created the ever-successful Homestead Senior Care franchise here in Louisville, Kentucky. And one more thing, you've seen her in the news recently. Yes, this is the Becky Bean Blossom that's just been named president of Lila. A tech firm was headquartered in Chicago, and she and others got them to move to Louisville. Welcome, Becky. And my third guest is Josh Zick. Josh and I have come to know each other quite well in the last year. I serve on the board of directors of the Al J. Sneeder Corporation. Josh is the president and CEO of the Al J. Sneeder Corp. Company, the largest hotel company in the region, and he spent his career working with Ray Strothman. I don't know if Ray is. There's Ray. Hi, Ray. All right. Thank you, President Ken.
How do I follow this? Oh my goodness.
So I'm Linda Bartramore. I chair Interact, vice chair of Rotary Honor Scholars, and advise Rotaract here at the school. And today we have some special guests, and I'm going to let their advisors introduce them. James Gibson from Iroquois has brought forward his interactors, and Mika Pawl from Western High School has brought 4 of her interactors. So I'm going to turn this over to them.
Yes, James Gibson, Iroquois High School. We have our Madam Vice President, Sulia, Secretary Chiwa, and board members Jackie and Sean.
I'm Micah Powell from Western High School. I have brought Larry Stevens, Hussein Ali, Denija Duncan, and Sherry Thomas. Judy Handmaker. I brought my better half. Ken Handmaker, please stand. Practiced law for almost 60 years.
President Ken, Mike Howard again. It's my pleasure to introduce Lucas Boston, who's an associate at Fifth Third Bank.
Welcome all guests. It's fun to have a lot of guests. And we have what is Rotary table on the back, where Deline is right now. And Maggie Harlow. But Jay, Mallory, where are you? Jay, stand, okay. See Jay, he'll be at that table after the meeting to talk with you more about Rotary. Hope we see you again. We have a lot of Rotarians in the spotlight every week. This week, we want to congratulate corporate members, Scott Collins, Adam Watson in Benzolet. They are with Canopy, Kentucky. And, Canopy has been allocated $750,000 in Kentucky's biennial budget to scale the business beyond profit curriculum that is already active at 9 Jefferson County high schools, with plans to expand to the rest of the Commonwealth. Congrats to Dr. Swanee Jett, part of Louisville Black Media LLC, which is acquiring WLOU 104.7 FM, WLLV 101.9 FM, and 1240 AM. And the group also plans to invest approximately $200,000 into the development of a 16,000 square foot innovative multimedia studio at the Louisville Central Community Center in the Russell neighborhood. Congratulations to Janet Patterson, who is part of the winning Ignite Louisville class of 2016. For their project, they partnered with WAG's Pet Therapy, an all-volunteer nonprofit that provides pet therapy services to more than 100 facilities across the community. It's time to submit your nominations for the Rotarian of the Year. You'll find forms with details on your tables. Come find your Rotary Rhythm Saturday, May 9th, Saturday after Derby at the Rotary All-Stars Conference. The day will include a high-energy performance by the Smoketown Thunder Drumline, a lunch keynote speaker by Waterstep founder Mark Cobb, remarks from Mayor Greenberg, and a Wear Your Best Derby Attire to Win Prizes evening program with a mock racing activity, music by the Louisville Bluegrass Band, and a keynote presentation on the value of a simple pin by the Rotary International Foundation Vice Chair, and much more. The conference is free, but does charge for lunch and dinner if you plan to eat, and it is at the Golf House. This Friday is the deadline to register for one of the Friday afternoon pre-conference activities, which include Hatitude, Kentucky Derby Museum, Bourbon and Bats at the Louisville Slugger Museum, Create Your Own Art Class at Flame Run Studio, and a tour and tasting at Kentucky Peerless Distillery. We'd love to have a strong showing from our club, so please plan to attend all or just part if you can. We also need volunteers 10 to 2 on Friday to greet and help drive directed attendees as they arrive at the Golf House, as well as for setup and help with loading shoes, etc. We need volunteers on Saturday to help with the House of Friendship and silent auction. So Lillian can help fill you in on more if you want to help volunteer. Thanks to those who have donated shoes for our collection to present to Waterstep. We'll have one more opportunity at the Rotary Honors Scholars Luncheon, which is Thursday, May 7th, which is also our next meeting, since next Wednesday we're going to be at the track, so no meeting 30. You can drop off the shoes at the Golf House Friday or Saturday as well. Please check DACTV or RotaryLouisville.org for information about our Monday reading sessions at the West End School. Our Raise the Roof. By the way, we had a dozen people there Monday. That was a great showing, and the students were pretty impressed. Our Raise the Roof with Habitat for Humanity is May 15th, as well as our next Repair Affair. That's June 6th, and Craig Sherman's Summer Social is June 7th, the next day. So if you work hard repairing homes on the 6th, come party with Craig and see his wonderful home on the 7th. If you haven't already, follow us online on Facebook's LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube, and we'd love to have you post photos from our meetings and events and tag us so that we can share. Now, I'd like to invite to the podium Henry Keene, Chair of the Service Projects Committee, and Paul Harris, Fellow Plus One, to share a brief update on the process and timeline for committees to propose service projects for next year and to the impact reports for this year's highlights.
Welcome, everybody. Let me talk, the fact that our club sponsors 20 to 30 service projects every year is phenomenal.
at a cost of about $150,000. So we really put our money where our mouth is in terms of service projects. What our club does, the service projects committee, the committee, what they do, what our committee does is reviews all of the submissions for these projects, tamps them down, makes sure that they are filled out the forms properly, they have the necessary training, the necessary signatures, and then, and also everything fits within the budget. And then we take our recommendations to the full board, and they will be the ones who decide that these projects should be funded. Let me have the first slide. Okay, well, that's the first slide. All right. Areas of focus. There are several areas that the special projects include, but let me give you some examples. The Rotary Honors Scholars Project, which includes mentoring as well as the luncheon. Rotary Unsung Hero Awards. The West End School Literacy Program, which was talked about already. The West End Louisville Housing Initiative, which is very important. The Repair Affair, and Refugee Family Support. So these are all but just a sampling of the 20 or 30 projects that are done every year. Okay, next slide. There are some fairly simple rules for submitting a project. One is it must be submitted by a Rotary committee. An individual will come up with the idea, but take it to your committee, and then it has to be signed off by the committee chairman. There is a strong emphasis on Rotary participation. Projects that simply ask for money that don't require any kind of volunteer support probably are not as considered as highly as those that require a lot of community, a lot of membership involvement. Okay, next slide. Several deadlines. That's why our committee is somewhat dormant during a good part of the year, but we are now heating up. You can see that May 15th is the deadline for submittal of requests for next year's projects. May 31st is the submittal of impact reports from the projects that have been approved for this year. And finally, August 31st would be the deadline for submitting for district money. Okay, next slide. Forms. The forms have gotten a lot simpler. The process has gotten a lot simpler. You can find these forms on DACDB, the website, as well as whatever training is necessary for submitting these things. The simplified forms and the simplified process, many thanks go to Michelle Black-White and Susan Zapata. They were very, very helpful in cleaning up this process, so it should be a lot easier. And Barry Allen has just joined the committee. He brings with him all kinds of experience with the Gaines Foundation, so that the foundation, the awarding of grants is right up his alley. Next slide. What happens next? The Service Projects Committee reviews the submissions, and that's why we're busy, because they have to be in by the middle of next month. We work with the chairs. We make sure that all of the projects that we want to approve fit within the budget, and then we take to the general board, the board of the club, for their final approval. Okay, final slide. So, volunteer. If you don't want to submit a project, or you don't have an idea for a project, make sure that you volunteer your time with one of those projects that has already been approved and is off and running. The volunteer the volunteer work is extremely important. These service projects are the primary way that the Rotary Club that we are all members of receives public awareness for the good that we really do. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. That is quite a heavy lift, that committee, and the people we mentioned, Barry, Susan, they do great work. Michelle Black-White. Every project we do, every service project we do, we don't just fund it and give a grant, but we expect that we will actively participate as volunteers in that project. So that's really amazing what we do, and Deline deserves a lot of credit because she buttons it all up. Not just this committee, all committees, but there's a lot of financial work that goes into this, and it's great to have an exec director who's an accountant to help with that process. Speaking of great committees, the Youth and Education Committee is meeting right after this meeting in the boardroom. Rick Harnett to lead that, so please attend. I'd like to invite to the podium Barbara Sexton-Smith, President-elect, Executive in Residence, Louisville Metro Government, Vice Chair of the Rotary Fund Board, and a major donor. We have a new member again.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So, fellow Rotarians and guests, I would like to now introduce you to Josh Tucker. If Josh Tucker would have joined me up here at the podium. All right, so fellow Rotarians, as you know, we like to increase our membership, not only to just increase the number, but to increase our influence and our impact, not just in our community, but in this great Commonwealth and also all around the world. Now, to you, Josh, come on over here. You don't have to be afraid of me. Have you? I might. Now, Josh, have you seen one of our new member inductions before? Yes. Oh, good. And did you watch the training video last night? Oh boy, okay. So when the music starts, you'll recognize the rhythm. We've got to move in sync together, seriously, after we get your two sponsors up here. Would you like to get them up here now? Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, Daryl Fuller, I need you to join us up front, and Paul Bolton. All right, now, Paul kills it on the dance floor, so this is going to be really good. All right, Josh. In all seriousness, you have been elected to the membership of the Rotary Club of Louisville because we believe that you possess the qualities and the characteristics that exemplify our four-way test, and most of all, service above self, which you just heard Henry Keene talking so eloquently about. Now, you're getting ready to be inducted into the largest club in our city, all right? And you're getting ready to be inducted into one of the very largest clubs on the entire planet. And there are 45,000 Rotary clubs around the world. That's a major ooh-ah, everyone. Trevor, are you paying attention here, buddy? This is the place to be. Okay, now, we are hoping, and my personal ask of you is please jump in and attend the meetings, join one of these committees and get involved in the service projects, and show up at the Tri-District Conference if you can, even if you can only be there for a short period. It's such an amazing time. And fellow Rotarians, if you want to be around some happy people, I have never seen more happy people in one place, except when I travel out of town, which I've done many times and attended Rotary conferences and Rotary conventions. That'll be on May 8th and 9th at the Galt House. So now, are you ready to be pinned? And once you're pinned by these two guys, that means y'all are all going steady. Then you are going to give us about 2 minutes of your background. You ready for that? All right, would you all please make the official presentation? This is where we have a drum roll, you all, because it gets so daggone quiet in this room. Oh, I forgot to tell Daryl, just hand the pen to him, because we've had so many wardrobe malfunctions up here at this time. You got it, Daryl? The pressure's on. Pressure's on. Paul's going to come in for the save any moment now. Okay, all right. Deline, we got to add the pinning to the training video. I can see that now. All right, here you go. Fellow Rotarians and guests, I introduce to you our newest fellow Rotarian, Josh Tucker. Josh?
I promise I won't take 2 minutes. I'm honored to be a new member of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I thank Paul and Daryl for
nominating me. Again, my name is Josh Tucker. I am a Vice President for Alliant Insurance Services here in Louisville, Kentucky. We're the 5th largest property and casualty insurance agency in the country. I specialize in nonprofits, municipalities, and construction risk. I've lived in the Louisville area my entire life. I'm a graduate of this institution here, and I currently live in Prospect with my wife and 2 daughters, one who is a senior at Transylvania, and the other is a junior at UK. So I thank everybody, and I look forward to getting to know everyone and working with you and to provide a better Louisville. Thank you.
This is where we all move to the front of the podium, and then President Ken Udosi go right up here, and I'll slide to the far right. Listen tight. Hold tight, hold tight. Thank you.
We've had close to 80 new members now in the last year. If you're new in the past year, please stand if you're here and get another round of applause to join Brad. We also have some great veteran members. One of them is Louis Stroud. He's a bank president. He's also a club director and a Paul Harris Fellow. And he promises to keep it short, too. Trevor's waiting.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. Not so good when they obey him and acclaim him. Worse when they despise him. But a good leader, when his work is done and his aims fulfilled, people will say, we did this ourselves. We did this ourselves. That quote is from the famous Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu from 571 BC. When I was at the University of Kentucky, I was very active in student leadership. One of my mentors and professors taught me this quote, which I've attempted to live by throughout my life. I've always found that when you get a group of people together on a project, the outcome always becomes better and more sustainable. My first experience was this in the real world working was in 1986 when I was a young lone executive. I got to work with Barbara Sexton Smith. Over my career, Barbara and I worked on many campaigns for Metro United Way, GLI, now One Louisville, and the Fund for the Arts. We had a great time doing all that. My banking career also started the same year with Liberty National Bank, which became Bank One, and later JP Morgan Chase. In my career, as Robert Frost would say, I took the path less traveled, and that has made all the difference. At a young age, I became an institutional commercial lender. That means I specialized in loans to governments, nonprofits, higher education, and healthcare. If you ever visited the Muhammad Ali Center, Fraser Museum, National Corvette Museum, or 21C Museum, I financed those. If you watched the game at U of L football stadium or the Yum Center, I was involved in those projects. If you attended the meeting, any meetings at Kentucky Convention Center, yes, that too. Taking a flight at Muhammad Ali Airport, me. Also, every time you drink water, Louisville Water Company, I finance those water lines. Every time you flush the toilet, MSD, me. Now get that visual out in your mind and speak of, right? Have you or a family member ever been to Norton Brownsboro, Norton Cancer Center, or Baptist East Point? Financed by me. And as a moment of ironic justice, after I gave Norton Healthcare Brownsboro a rigorous exam for the financing at Norton Brownsboro, I got to be the very first colonoscopy patient. I want to talk a little bit about some we moments. Real highlights of my career during the Great Recession. The markets froze and the student loan industry crashed. Students in Kentucky were not going to be able to get college student loans. None of our students in Kentucky, our high school students, were going to be able to go to college if they needed a loan. Working with the Kentucky State Treasurer, Jonathan Miller, and the teacher's retirement system, we were able to arrange $225 million of financing to get college students to college that year. A year later, I had the privilege to work with Secretary of Finance Lori Flannery, and now Treasurer Todd Hollenbach, to modernize the state's treasury and banking system. We took it into the 21st century. Thank you, Lori, for that. That was a great project. Subsequent to those events, J.P. Morgan asked me to run 11 states for government banking group. For years, I had an office in Chicago and Louisville. I lived on an airplane, managed all of those different 11 states, and lobbied in Washington, D.C. during some of the greatest banking reforms in half a century. After 31 years, I left J.P. Morgan to begin my most impactful career venture. I invested in Independence Bank and opened our location in St. Matthews. We're a $3.8 billion community bank headquartered in Owensboro. I did this for a few reasons. I wanted to be back home with my family. I wanted to give back to my community. There's not a better place you can give back to your community than a community bank. Today, we take care of all kinds of small and medium-sized companies, institutions, professionals, and people that want service. You know, our young kids don't know what service is today. We have a complete array of online treasury products, along with the best trusted investment group in the region. Most importantly, we offer service. There are no 800 numbers. You call us. From a community standpoint, I've served on countless boards. I want to share a couple of really important we moments. For many years, I've worked with Louisville banks, community banks, and corporations to provide subordinate financing to developers like Bill Whalen. This was through the Louisville Downtown Housing Fund. I headed it for 15 years. Projects like Waterfront Park Place, luxury condominiums, Glassworks, Whiskey Row, and Henry Clay would not exist if it wasn't for all these organizations working together. In 2018, I served as campaign chair for Metro United Way, raising nearly $27 million. The motto was, think we before me. I'm going to give that credit for that quote to fellow Rotarian Teresa Reno Weber. She was executive director of the United Way at that time. She took 2,600 years of culture to reduce Lao Tzu's quote into a powerful, succinct phrase. We before me. It reminds me of you. It reminds me of the Rotary. Personally, I've been blessed with a wonderful family. Lovely Elizabeth and I have been married for 29 years. Our oldest daughter works for Temper Sealy in Lexington. Our youngest starts her career in New York City in June. Thank you for allowing me to share my career story. I want to leave you with this final thought. Join us for the St. Matthews Freedom Festival on July 3rd, part of our nation's 250th anniversary. The event will be sponsored by Independence Bank and St. Matthews Business Community. We are closing Westport Road for a street festival to raise money for veterans and first responders. So we could use your help to be out there. Final thought, think we before me. Thank you.
I hope you enjoy these profiles as much as I enjoy asking people to do it. I mean, you got to twist their arms to do it, but we have a great club, and it's good to be reminded of that each week. All right. Thanks for your patience, Trevor. I'd like to invite to the podium Aaron Duval, who's the Vice President of Marketing at One Louisville, and he's a Rotary Leadership Fellow. He's going to introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Ken. It's my pleasure to introduce my boss and our CEO, Trevor Pawl. Hopefully you all know One Louisville is our official economic development organization and chamber of commerce for the Louisville region. It was created March 1st of this year, so just a month and a half ago, through the combination of LEDA, the Louisville Economic Development Alliance, and Greater Louisville Inc., GLI, the Chamber of Commerce. In his first year, so Trevor moved here March 10th last year, I think. I know that because before he moved here, February 28th, I had an interview with him to join the city's Cabinet for Economic Development. Talked to him that morning, accepted the job that afternoon, and proposed to my fiance that evening. She's like, I don't know which one was the more exciting that day, but don't tell me. Before moving to Louisville, Trevor was appointed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer as Michigan's first Chief Mobility Officer, where he led more than 80 public-private partnerships that secured over $480 million for next-generation transportation projects in the state of Michigan. He's held several other positions throughout the beginning of his career. He holds a BA from Grand Valley State University, an MBA from the University of Detroit Mercy, and he says that he does not have an official college team. He is very loyal to the pro sports in Detroit, but I need your all's help to make sure that he becomes a U of L fan, especially since I like to refer to him as the Pat Kelsey of economic development. In 2023, he and his wife Jessica traveled with their 2 children all across the country for a year and a half, spent several months in several different places, got to explore the world. Amazing trip. I saw he wasn't eating lunch, asked if he wanted me to get him anything. He said that his favorite food is food for thought. I did not see that on the buffet, so I'm going to have to invite him up here to dish it out for all of you all. No information.
I move. All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. That side, way back, need to hear you. You're going to be the loudest. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. Came up big there. Thank you. All right. So I'm Trevor Pawl. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to get into it. Where's my clicker? All right. Look, I love this city. It's why I moved here from Detroit. It is why I want to raise my family here. And I think this is the city of the future. I think our moment is exactly right now. There's a whole new American economy bursting forward, and you all are central to its success. So therefore, we are not just a place to go and have a good time, although we will over the next few days. We are also a place that you come if you want to change the world. This is a place where courage and ideas meet. In other words, we are America's next frontier. But what does it actually mean to be the city of the future? That's a big label, right? What does that look like in practice? Well, today we're going to dive into what that means. So I believe the city of the future doesn't wait to be discovered. It builds itself one courageous decision at a time. Like the decision Ford made to reinvent the assembly line right here in Louisville. Building the front of the car, the middle of the car, and the rear of the car separately, and putting it together at the end. And if this works, it will allow the U.S. to compete with China for the EV lead over the next few decades, and it will create thousands of jobs in Louisville. Or, just a few weeks ago, what about the bold bet made by Jeff Bezos-backed Slate Auto? This is a company that thinks that luxury isn't going to be what drives someone to buy an electric vehicle going forward. It's going to be about customization. So they've ripped the vehicle down to its essentials. And now you can get this for $25,000 and have the ability to switch it back and forth from a 2-seat pickup to a 5-seat SUV. That global customization hub will be in Louisville, Kentucky. Or what about moving from physical assembly lines to digital assembly lines? That emerging Indiana startup that is trying to essentially build a digital assembly line that streamlines operations for small businesses, distributors, construction companies, small manufacturers, making it easy. They were getting money from the coast and from Austin. They could have moved, and instead they doubled down and opened an office here in Louisville last year, 194 jobs. The city of the future also will keep America competitive this century. What does that mean? Right down the road from here, one of the most sophisticated factories in the world is being built. It's going to be $490 million, 800-job investment, building washers and dryers across a production area that's 33 football fields long. And that investment alone has already created $150 million in local supplier contracts. Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific have agreed to announce new rail services to Louisville because of the investment. And also, as part of this, they're solving a water quality issue globally. Across the industry, there's an issue with counterfeit filters. So they're going to take the fight to the next level, and the first sort of in-house water filter assembly line just opened in Appliance Park. Or what about Anthro Energy, a Silicon Valley-based company that is building a facility to produce electrolytes at scale? What is an electrolyte? It is the bloodstream of an electric vehicle battery. It allows the ions to charge. The US has not been able to do that at capacity until now in Louisville, Kentucky. Or what about surgical gloves, invented in Baltimore in 1889? We stopped making these at scale in the US in the 1980s. Until now, until Louisville, Kentucky came along. These will be produced in Lumet. Or what about this notion that the US can invent a TV, but we can't build them anymore? The last major television factory closed in America in the 80s. Same with other consumer electronics. Well, the largest manufacturer in the world, the manufacturer that did all the systems engineering tooling, your iPhone, your iPad, is some of the most recognizable devices on the planet. This is the company that allows those devices to be in your life in a very regular and positive way. Well, they're betting on Louisville. There's in the South End right now, 350,000 square foot facility, 180 jobs to build the consumer electronics of the future, proving that America can still build what it invents. See, we are not just creating jobs here in Louisville, we are creating the new systems first that people around the Western world will leverage. This is why this moment matters so much, and we are the city of the future. I'm just going to keep going. The city of the future doesn't see limits, it sees launching pads just a few miles from here. MMY is proving that affordable housing doesn't have to be cheap, it can be innovative. They've developed the first steel-built LEED Platinum certified modular home in the world. 32 days to build a 1,700 square foot home, 3 beds, 2 baths, and a backyard. What about Native Studios and their $29 million investment in a Louisville soundstage, or what Louisville Gardens has done? Proving that Hollywood doesn't always have to be in Hollywood. Over the last few years, we've seen 300 films be produced across Kentucky, across Louisville, because we have innovative tools and a great workforce. And then let's get into some of the developments. This new $36 million mixed-use development, affordable housing, converting an old warehouse/paint factory in Portland, proving that the West End is very, 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 very investable and the place to be right now. But what about this? I learned about this building first week I was here. It's more than a building, isn't it? It's about a moment. It's a signal. It's a signal that we think boldly here. 1,000-room convention hotel. 25th story observation deck, rooftop pool, 40,000 square foot ballroom, incorporating elements of historical building, adding a glass skyscraper. It's a $600 to $700 million investment. It'll be the second largest hotel next to Mr. Josh's hotel. I haven't forgotten about you. Thank you for all you do at the Galt House. But the point is that part of downtown is beginning to pop. And then what about this? That area you probably don't think about when you pass Trevor on I-65. 500,000 square feet of hotel, residential, retail, commercial, coming, the Diamond District. It's going to connect Nulu and downtown. These things are happening. Another thing about the city of the future, it measures success not by exits, but by reinvestment. Like Texas Roadhouse, when they passed Olive Garden to become the largest casual dining brand, sure, they could have moved to Atlanta, they could have moved to Dallas, that's what others do. But no, they doubled down. They doubled down on Louisville. So the recipe for one of the fastest growing brands in the world is going to be based here. And I got to tell you, I started this job 2 weeks after the KFC news broke. Within my first week, I was called to Metro Council to testify on how I was going to fix it. I didn't have a good answer, but what I can tell you is, and this credit to the mayor, he said this is the moment where we need to, as much as we can, talk to KFC, understand the business. Because the truth is, 1 in 4 Fortune 500 companies leave their town of origin. This wasn't about Louisville. This was about a business. When was the last time you ate at KFC? Think about it. Or a Pizza Hut or a Taco Bell. They are trying to rework that business domestically so it stays around another century. So it can mimic some of the things that have happened internationally. They never planned to leave. And that's why we worked with them and essentially developed the campus, PNC Tower downtown, and there's going to be more great things coming from this great company. And then, it's not all about big corporates, big brands, big logos. Over the years, we've seen restaurants go away on Dixie Highway in the South End. So we did something about it. We created a fund and we're able to, in one fell swoop, get a Longhorn Steakhouse, Freddy's, frozen custard, Derby City Pizza expansion to Crumble Cookie. We made the case, the economics for these businesses located on Dixie Highway, and they were like, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of good things happening in the South End all over this city. I'm just keep going. There's examples. I want you to have talking points when you leave this today. All right. The city of the future knows that speed equals value. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a company that has turned test results for infectious diseases from a multi-day process to a multi-hour process by leveraging Louisville, Kentucky. So let's say that you're in San Francisco, and right before dinner you take a test. While we all sleep, that test is going to fly to Louisville. It's going to land. It's going to go to the end of the runway. LabCorp will be right there. They'll run the test results, and before the patient wakes up, the doctor will have their results. That's all happening in Louisville, Kentucky. That is so much of a competitive advantage that one of their competitors actually located right next door. LabCorp is that much of an asset. And I'm just going to read this for you because I think a lot of times when people say, what are the advantages? We just say WorldPort, but we don't really realize it's an entire ecosystem around WorldPort that makes it work. Our regional logistics density is 2 times the US average. Yes, we know about WorldPort, but did you know it's 90 football fields in size and handles 2 million packages a day? 360 flights operate daily from Louisville. 200 plus countries and territories are touched. And just recently, we became the world's largest air cargo hub by volume. We're also a top 10 US market for industrial leasing. And our highways give freight carriers one-day access to nearly 70% of US cities. Louisville also was #1 in the Ohio River Corridor for investment and project activity in 2025. And we are lucky we have Mr. Steve Miller here, who leads Riverport, and that's another huge logistical asset. That's why a company like Shady Rays can start in a garage in St. Matthews, and within a few years make 12 million, and now they're at 70 million. That's a logistics advantage, that's you all. We're having a moment. Yeah. We're having a moment. And I apologize for those in the back. These are like tiny font slides, but I'll try to read through them. So what does that mean by the numbers? So in 2024, we had 30 projects land. We saw a 37% increase last year. In terms of the new capital investment that is entering into Jefferson County, we saw $3 billion last year. That is more than the last 2 years combined. It's a 691% increase. Our average average wage within the net new jobs created year over year from 2024 to 2025 actually went up 24%. So how are we doing this year? Well, we've doubled the number of leads that are very, very interested in investing in the Louisville market. We've had nearly a site visit a week since the beginning of January. When you have a site visit, it means there were 10, 11 cities that they considered, and then there was a top 3, top 4, where all the executives came and visited. So we're consistently making these short lists. And the pipeline right now has never been larger. So right now we're at 79 projects, 6,300 jobs on the line, 13.8 billion. Look, we're not going to win them all, but that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Now, when you think about the breakout, it's almost 50-50 between out-of-market companies that want to be here and companies that never wanted to leave and want to expand. And that's a pretty good ratio as well. Now, most of it is advanced manufacturing. That's okay. When you think about what's happening with AI and what could happen to white-collar jobs, the last thing that AI will replace is manufacturing at scale, because that's just really hard to do at a certain quality level. So I feel really good about the jobs that we are creating in manufacturing. These are jobs that are going to stick around. But tourism's having a moment, food and beverage is having a moment, and logistics continues to have a moment. So what does it mean to places like Austin, Boston, Silicon Valley? Look, they have certain things they're dealing with. Hardware gaps, risky supply chains, sector limits. I come from a place in Detroit that has sector limits. Automotive, transportation win the day. Guess what we have? Sector diversity. We have a low risk supply chain. Manufacturing capacity. There are all these key things. Like within a couple minutes, you can really sell the city well, based on the formula that you all generated through the decades. Now, what do we need to do to keep this momentum going? A lot of work to do. So we're about 45th MSA in terms of population, but we're 298 in average industry wage. So we're wonderfully industry diverse, but across those industries, a lot of those are production jobs or lower wage, which makes us a place you go for, say, a stepping stone job and not a career path, not to build a life. We need to change that. And that's what our team, the mayor, the governor, who's been a great partner, are thinking about every day. Nashville, Charlotte, they've seen 12-13% growth within their prime sort of working age. We've seen a 2% decline in the last decade. Cincinnati and St. Louis, 3 times as much VC raised as we've raised here in Louisville. That needs to change. And so One Louisville was created. One Louisville is a mixtape of the best of GLI and the best of the Louisville Economic Development Alliance. For all the lawyers out there, we're a C6 and a C3, and I will get into sort of how it was formed and what it is. But first, I want to talk to you about Sirius XM Radio. I bet you didn't see that coming. So, I'm sure all of you know this brand, right? Well, you may not know, not all of you know, that these used to be 2 separate companies, XM Radio and Sirius XM Radio. And they had 2 major audiences, the automakers and then the subscribers. But the problem was, they were too similar. So what ended up happening, these customers didn't know like the differences, or the differences weren't meaningful enough, so they paid into both services. We're paying too much money. And then the content was very similar, but a little different. So if there was a certain show that you wanted, you'd have to pay into the entire system for just one show until they merged. Remember parking apps? I mean, you probably still have a lot on your phone, but there was a time any city you rolled up into, you needed to download an app. Well, those are slowly consolidating over time for the same reasons. And guess what's consolidating next? Depending on who your favorite NFL team is, you may have to subscribe to 6 to 8 streaming services or some sort of services where you pay to watch every game. So the same thing is actually happening across the country with Chamber of Commerce's and local economic development organizations. So a Chamber of Commerce is an entity that supports the interests of the business community in an effort to grow the economy. A local economic development organization is an entity to grow the economy and support the interests of the business community. And so, in our case, we had these 2 great organizations, one that had been around a decade, and the other that had been around a year, but had some success. And you began to see that the similarities and the duplications were a bit more than some of the differences. Sure, there was a few things like events and advocacy on the GLI side. On the LEDA side, we had small business loans and research. But it began to make sense to pull these together. There was confusion. Who was the single front door for economic development? People were writing multiple checks, similar to the satellite radio example. And we had different metrics and different strategies. All while we were experiencing this historic swell in investment. We shouldn't have to be competing with each other. We should be competing with the world. And so the chairs of both organizations got together with these 3 goals in mind: clarify the value, reduce the confusion, find those efficiencies, and then do something more dynamic than has ever been done before. And we had some great examples. Oklahoma City did it, Tulsa did it, and they've had some record years. 5,800 jobs in Oklahoma City created, 2,800 jobs in Tulsa, and that's 2024. But there are also efficiencies that allowed them to spend more money on tools for customers, centralized fundraising that supported longer-term initiatives. So here's how we did it. You can't just smash an organization together. If we had done that, it would have been $11.5 million budget. We would have 51 rules, and we would have been losing $1.2 million a year. We would have been dead on arrival. So we had to do some pretty hard things. We took a zero-based approach to the budget. There were some things that supported Louisville in a very special, valuable way in the past that just, in this Louisville, we couldn't support continuing to do that same program. Well, there were some other new things that we needed because the Louisville economy had changed. We needed to make room for those things. Unfortunately, the hardest part was we had to cut the staff from 51 down to 31. And we had to make sure that both the public sector and the private sector had skin in the game. That was critical. And so what we landed on was a $9 million organization and about a 20% increase in what was being paid in if you combined both organizations. And the mission is simply this: to make the Louisville region the best place in America to build a company, to build a career, and to build a fulfilling life across 10 counties, including southern Indiana. And that mission rests upon 4 pillars: economic development, which will focus on net new investment, but also helping you all do business here. Sometimes it can get tough. Sometimes permitting and zoning and various things to expand, hire, it can be tough. So our team is thinking through how we can help make change, along with the mayor and along with Metro government. And, companies follow people. So talent has to be a pillar. So we're going to focus on both talent retention from this place right here and all of our other universities, as well as attracting folks that want to build a life here. Policy at every level, making sure the business community continues to have a voice, whether it's locally or at the federal level, and of course in Frankfurt. We've had a great session. And then the chamber service model. For too long, sales went above service, and that's going to change. We've actually paused new member sales because we want to make sure our service mix is modular and modernized and meets the moment. We'll be rolling that out later this summer. So that, and then obviously shared services. So we're going to more aggressively market our region, more aggressively tell all the great stories I started the presentation with. And this is the team that's going to do it, 31 people. Now the thing that surprises a lot of folks is that not everyone was from Louisville. Actually, the majority of people have either left and come back, or were never from here and chose, out of all the places they live in the world, to live here. 8 were born, 11 grew up here, left, came back to make a mark. 12, I'm one of those. Could have gone anywhere, but chose here because it's special. And the goal is to operate as one over the next few months. Do things like combine IT, HR, all those things. But more importantly, 6 through 12, we want to have better external collaboration, real victories, near-term wins, where you all can see the success. And then, over the next few years, create some national models where other people are like, how did they do that? I want to do that. That's the goal. I want to be a national model. We are already a national model. In some ways, it's just a framing exercise. I'm going to close with this. Some of you may have heard me use this again, but I continue to use it because I continue to think about it. I have a friend in Detroit who takes people around the city of Detroit, downtown, and taken over 150,000 people around the city. And at the end of most of those tours, she gives this quote, or a version of this quote. The great American city is one that is big enough to matter in the world and small enough for every person to matter in it. I think about that because it's not just about job creation, it's about job composition. It's not just about wages, it's about prosperity. It's about breaking down systems that don't work and building new ones. It's about growing your GDP, but not at the expense of community vitality. This is a place that knows how to turn one day into day one. It's a place that's small business savvy and billion-dollar bold. And frankly, if you design something here, you should be able to design the world. If you build something here, you should be able to build the world. This is a wonderful laboratory to do the things of your wildest dreams. And now we just got to tell that story. So my challenge to you today, let's break an algorithm. I don't know what platforms you're on, but over the next week or two, post something positive about Louisville. Just whatever it is. I don't care. Whatever it is. And let's see what we can do. Let's see the dent or the ripple we can create. All right.
All right.
And that's how did I do it? Okay? All right. That's all I got.
That was quite a bit. You're awesome, Trevor. Thank you. What an intellect. You want to take a question or two from somebody? We don't have time. Not everybody can stay, but if somebody does have a question, come on up. Trevor, this has nothing to do with your presentation, but what was the highlight of your 2-year journey with your family?
Yeah. That's great. I would say that I did it with a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I didn't miss a thing. I saw the clap for the first time, crawl for the first time, just all the things. That was good.
Question time. Thank you for being here, Trevor. I'm an HR consultant. One of the things I do is coach job seekers, and they are struggling here in Louisville. They're struggling bad. Any feedback, input, anything when Louisville, you talk about talent retention, anything that you guys are working on or planning to help connect employers and job seekers, for lack of a better description?
Yeah. I think making sure that the skill sets transfer is a big deal. I think about some of the tech trends of the future, knowing that it could, whether you're working at UPS or Ford or working in a restaurant downtown, you should be able to take things with you. And that means more aggressive market-ready certification working with this university. I also think there's maybe a matchmaker problem. We don't necessarily know where the great jobs are. I always go back at LinkedIn messages like, can you help me find a job? I'm like, probably. I gotta think of who has jobs open. And it shouldn't be like that. There should be a better resource.
Trevor Ashley Brower, Speaker Chair, thanks so much for being here today. Awesome presentation. And I love the challenge. About a year ago, you said that we have an internal PR problem here within ourselves. Everybody who comes and visits loves Louisville. We get really down on ourselves. And I'm just wondering if in the past year, have you started to see that tide change? Are we starting to go that direction? Do we all need to start posting great things about Louisville every week? What do you think about that?
Not yet. We could be doing more. I think it's true. I mean, I don't understand why there's some really good media outlets here, and they've just run some awesome stories. But then there's some moments where it's like, why are you ending the newscast with this amazing economic story? Like, I wish that we would be skeptical, but not cynical of things. And I wish that we would embrace some of the younger companies here that are doing enormous things. Like, there's a company here, just talk to the guys. He helps run the United Arab Emirates lottery, EQL Games. Like, we should know these little tidbits. And I just think we need to be doing a better, it's like, I think people are, where'd you go? You left, you disappeared. Oh. I think that the tone, people seem more positive and excited. There's a lot of stuff happening, especially this time of year. But now it's about getting to the stories and the call to action. It's like, why should you be here? And here are these things that happened last week versus some things that happened here. I need to refresh. Most of you see my presentation before. I don't have time to refresh it. There's so much going on, but the point is I could keep refreshing it. And we need to keep, all of us need to keep refreshing our presentations in this place. It's very dynamic.
Thanks so much for coming to talk with us. My name is Nick Garner. I'm with the MITRE Corporation. I was really heartened during your presentation to hear you talking about average salary as a key performance indicator that you guys are looking at, and then talking further about how important it is that the sort of like holistic view of a job be the picture of what we're looking at. I just wanted to give you an opportunity. I can only get excited about economic development if I really feel like it's a tide that raises all boats. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what your organization is doing to sort of like help with human flourishing broadly.
Human flourishing. Okay, that's a good question. I mean, I think wages are going to vary across industries, and I know that any of those site visits I mentioned earlier, quality of life comes up. I think you can't separate things like the future of our transportation system, our transit system. You can't separate, to me, it's economic development is not ever going to reach the level in a metro that is meaningful unless you have a safe community. Its safety is infrastructure. As much as anything else you can offer a company, we constantly work with Chief Humphreys, and if there's ever a situation where there is an investment being made that could harm a community, we are very analytical of that, and we'll run all the traps, and if it's not a good fit, we will turn things down. So there's not one silver bullet answer, but I will say that there's never a project either where we're not thinking about the quality of life and service impact and what it means for the entry-level person as well as the executive that would be a part of that new investment.
Hello, Trevor. How are you? Good to see you,
Oh,
sir.
boy. All right.
So you're doing tremendous work. It really is inspirational. You're getting results. Your enthusiasm, your vision, and I think it's what everybody needs. As you know, one of the big issues that I'm an advocate for is modernizing the local tax code. It's quite complicated. It's a Frankfurt issue and all that kind of stuff. And in some of our conversations, you've indicated, that you're frustrated with the lack of tools, the lack of options that you have at the local level. So if the modernization hopefully happens, and I think it will, whether it's an amendment or whether it's some sort of other options, how much more ammo would that give you? Like, what do you think you could do then? Like, if you can unleash a modernized local tax code, what would that enable you to take the city from where it is now to where you think it could be? I think it's tremendous, but I'm curious what you think.
I love you, by the way. You know that, right? I do. I'll be pretty, there's so many rabbit holes to go down, right, with this question, but I think it changes the mindset from scarcity to abundance. It changes the mindset from, I don't want to take this risk, to, oh my God, if this risk works, then perhaps it opens the floodgates to a particular infrastructure project or a particular service that a neighborhood has wanted for 50 years. I will say that this session, the downtown tools that we will be getting are going to be transformational. From a downtown development fund to conversion funds to reforms to historical tax credits. There are different tools in our toolbox now that will truly allow us to create this mixed-use future, which speaks to your question of wanting to work, live, and play in the same place. Someone told me this, and I think about it sometimes. Someone's like, you work downtown, you eat and have fun in Nulu, and then you go to the Highlands or any surrounding suburbs and sleep. That was something someone said. And I was like, that is not, no, we do all of it everywhere. And I think that's what everyone wants. And so I would hope that any changes we make with taxes allow for not just to be a city of neighborhoods, but one place where regardless of where you go, you feel energy, whether you want to work, whether you want to live, you want to play.
Hey, this is a pin to commemorate your talk today, which was phenomenal. Four-way test is on the back. If we all live by that, it'd be a better world too. But good luck with everything you're doing. Love your energy. Love your enthusiasm.
Go Cards.
Love your intellect. Go Cards. Barbara, what's going on? Don't forget, Don, don't come here next week.
Okay, all right, we're almost ready to go. We got about 30 more seconds here. So this whole group over here, Trevor, they all looked at me and said, good luck wearing that pin that Ken just gave you. Exactly! President Ken, that was the smoothest move I've ever seen you make. I think he wants you to wear a Rotarian pin. Oh, you see how slick that was? One Louisville, one Rotary. You're welcome. Apply online. We'll induct you. All right, here we go. Fellow Rotarians, please mark your calendars or give yourself a note. As President Ken said, we are not here next week because we are going, about 200 of us, including our guests, are going to be out at Churchill Downs for the annual Rotary Day at the Downs. Wednesday, Winsday, and then come back here on May 7th. And all the guests, you're welcome to join us. It's an incredible time on May 7th because we are going to be honoring our Rotary Honor Scholars, the Interact Club of Iroquois and Western, and the Rotaract Club of the University of Louisville. All of those groups, they're officers. So we want you to come out, meet them, and lift them up. President Ken, all yours, buddy.
Hey, enjoy the great weather. We are adjourned.